Hi, I'm Jim Peterson, doing a GeoLearn course on how to determine quality of a drone or UAS-based mapping project. The objectives for today are what a professionals might use to evaluate quality. So we're not just talking about accuracy, but we're talking about quality. If you watched the previous sessions, it was focused on accuracy. We're going to have a later session that's even more detailed on accuracy. But in general, we're talking about quality for this session. And what are the published standards? If you watched the previous session, we did mention standards, and I went into a little detail. We're going to try to dive into more detail about that, and the old versus new standards, or the paper versus digital, which again, we've already went through a little bit, and what's appropriate and practical. This has been a theme throughout my sessions, and I may sound like most surveyors, we go too far with accuracy sometimes, so far that maybe we put ourselves out of business, because we don't need to produce more accuracy than necessary to meet whatever the project's requirements are. So don't let me mislead you into hounding about accuracy. I would rather you leave my sessions thinking that I am hounding you about where drone and image processing, and whether it's structure from motion, computer vision, whichever one you want to call it, is going to give you some low confidence areas. And again, that falls into not just accuracy, but having the competency to know where these things fail. And we'll get there through an outline like this. It's intro of definitions. We've hinted at these in previous sessions. I'm going to try to clear up that. It'll still be a little muddy, but ground sample distance resolution, residuals, RMSE, RMS also, and etc. Other things along those lines. The published standards, NSSDA, ASPRS, again, old versus new, paper digital. And I'm introducing one that I didn't talk about earlier, because if you are a surveyor and you want to try to use this for your surveying project, specifically an ALTA, an American Land and Title Association type of survey used for typically commercial, or really mostly commercial land surveys, you're going to have to decide what's appropriate and practical. Again, the accuracy and the knowledge to know how to apply that. And those of you that have joined our previous sessions, you've seen this slide many times already, but it's still a great example and a good place to start here again as far as talking about quality, because this is again an ortho photo, a digital surface model, a digital terrain model, all that can be created with traditional photogrammetry. It could be done with drones and unmanned systems, or for those of you that joined my Drone of Things session, I had a total station that has cameras on it. So you can still make an ortho photo with a camera on the ground. It's a little more difficult, but the same thing that you could do on terrain, you could also do with the side of a building. And all these things are going to apply. Some are more difficult than others to make. And each one of them has their own separate versions of what's good quality. For instance, an ortho, you may decide that you would rather have a really nice looking, pretty ortho. And you may do that by something we're going to talk about in the pitfalls later in the next session, is that you might want to turn off the auto exposure if you want highly accurate map data. But if you want a pretty, nicely even exposure ortho photo, you might want to leave it on. I'm personally not a fan of the drones that force us to choose to let it do it, or the drone make that decision for us. I want to make that decision. I'm the professional in charge of the work, and I want to decide what I want.